Deep in the freezing waters of Antarctica, there exists a creature that should be dead. Its heart beats, but there's no red blood inside. No hemoglobin, no oxygen transport. Just transparent liquid coursing through veins that should be carrying the essence of life itself. Scientists call it the ice fish, and it's rewriting what we thought was possible for life on Earth. Every vertebrate on this planet, from the smallest hummingbird to the largest whale, relies on red blood cells to survive. 75,000 vertebrate species. All of them, except for 16 species of fish, living in the most extreme environment imaginable. This is their story. And what scientists discovered inside these fish could change how we understand evolution, survival, and the future of medicine itself. Bouvet Island, Antarctic. A biologist named Ditlev Rustad pulls up his net and finds something that defies explanation. The fish is pure white, scaleless, almost translucent in places. Its eyes are large and dark, its snout elongated with sharp teeth. But it's what happens next that stops him cold. He cuts the fish open. The blood that flows out isn't red. It's clear, completely transparent, like water with a faint opalescent sheen. Rustad thinks it's contamination, a mistake. He names it the white crocodile fish and sends samples to colleague Johann Ruud for analysis. In 1954, Ruud publishes his findings in Nature, confirmation of the impossible. This fish has no red blood cells, no hemoglobin whatsoever. The scientific community is stunned. Red blood cells were considered universal among vertebrates, essential for life. You lose your hemoglobin, you die within minutes. It's not negotiable. Yet here's a fish, thriving in the coldest ocean on Earth, with blood as clear as glass. 16 species. That's how many ice fish exist today. And they're the only vertebrates on the planet, out of 75,000 species, that have completely abandoned hemoglobin. The question isn't just how they survive, it's why they exist at all. Let's talk about what this actually means. Hemoglobin is the protein inside red blood cells that binds to oxygen in your lungs and delivers it to every cell in your body. Without it, your cells starve, your organs fail, you die. For ice fish, there is no hemoglobin. Their blood carries only 10% of the oxygen that normal fish blood can carry. In any other environment, this would be fatal. Instant death. But these fish don't just survive, they thrive. Here's how. The Antarctic advantage water temperature, 1.8 degrees Celsius to 1 degrees Celsius, just above freezing. At these temperatures, water holds far more dissolved oxygen than warm water. The ocean itself becomes an oxygen reservoir. Icefish blood is essentially transparent plasma. Oxygen dissolves directly into it. No carriers, no middlemen, just pure diffusion. But there's a problem. Moving oxygen through plasma alone is incredibly inefficient. It's like trying to fill a stadium by passing water buckets one at a time. So nature compensated with extreme solutions. Heart size, 4 to 5 times larger than red-blooded fish of the same size. The icefish heart is a biological marvel, a massive volume pump that moves enormous quantities of blood at low pressure. Blood volume, 2 to 4 times greater than normal fish. Their entire cardiovascular system is supersized. Blood vessels, dramatically enlarged. Capillaries are wider, more numerous. The icefish eye, when injected with dye, looks like a dense tangle of spaghetti, not the neat, organized pattern of normal fish. Heart rate, low and steady, but stroke volume, the amount of blood pumped with each beat, is 6 to 15 times greater than typical fish. Energy cost. Ice fish invest 22% of their resting metabolic rate just to power their hearts. Most fish use only 5%. Their entire body is re-engineered for one purpose: move massive volumes of oxygen-poor blood as efficiently as possible. And then there's the antifreeze. Ice fish blood contains antifreeze glycoproteins, AFGPs. These molecules bind to tiny ice crystals and prevent them from growing. The fish can survive in water below the freezing point of fresh water without their cells turning to ice. Here's where the story gets strange, because all of this, The giant heart, the transparent blood, the antifreeze proteins wasn't an adaptation. It was a mistake. 8.5 million years ago, something went wrong in the icefish genome. A mutation deleted the gene cluster responsible for producing beta-globin, one of the two proteins that make up hemoglobin. Over time, additional mutations disabled the alpha-globin genes as well. Here's the remarkable part. Icefish still have hemoglobin genes in their DNA. They're just turned off, completely non-functional. 15 out of 16 icefish species have completely lost the beta subunit gene and retained only a fragment of the alpha gene. One species, Neopagetopsis iona, has a more complete hemoglobin beta gene, but it still doesn't work. The code for red blood is written into their genome. Evolution just hit delete. Why didn't they die? In any other environment, this mutation would have been instantly lethal. But the Southern Ocean is different. 25 million years ago, the Antarctic circumpolar current formed, thermally isolating the Southern Ocean. Temperatures plummeted, the water became oxygen-rich and stable. Around 15 to 20 million years ago, or possibly as recently as 6 million years ago, depending on which hypothesis you follow, a species crash occurred. Competition disappeared, ecological niches opened up, and a fish with broken hemoglobin genes found itself in an environment where oxygen was abundant, temperatures were stable, and the mutation that should have killed it didn't. It's called disaptation, evolutionary loss of function. The icefish didn't adapt to become better. They lost something essential and somehow survived anyway. What followed was a cascade of compensatory changes. Enlarged hearts, expanded blood vessels, increased cardiac output, metabolic reprogramming at the cellular level. Recent research suggests another factor: iron limitation. Hemoglobin requires massive amounts of iron. In iron-poor Antarctic waters, losing hemoglobin may have been a benefit, reducing the fish's dependence on a scarce resource. This wasn't intelligent design. It was a biological accident in the one place on Earth where that accident didn't matter. Or, as one scientist put it, a mutation that should have killed them made them immortal to the cold. Imagine living in absolute darkness. The pressure of 100 atmospheres pressing down on you. Water so cold it should be solid ice. This is the world of the icefish. The icefish lives between 100 and 1,000 meters below the surface of the Southern Ocean. Some species venture even deeper, down to 1,500 meters, where sunlight has never reached. For 9 months of the year, this environment is pitch black. The only light comes from bioluminescent creatures drifting through the void. The temperature never wavers. Negative 1.8 degrees Celsius to positive 2 degrees at most. This stability is both a blessing and a prison. These fish are stenotherms, locked into a thermal range so narrow that a change of just a few degrees would kill them. They cannot migrate to warmer waters. They cannot adapt to seasonal fluctuations. They exist in one of the most stable and most hostile environments on the planet. The water pressure at these depths would crush most organisms. But for the icefish, with their cartilaginous bones and reduced skeletal mineralization, the pressure is meaningless. Their bodies are almost neutrally buoyant, hovering effortlessly in the water column like ghosts. An adult icefish measures 25 to 50 centimeters in length. No scales protect their skin. Instead, their bodies are covered in a thin, translucent membrane that allows oxygen to pass directly through. This cutaneous respiration supplements their inefficient blood, pulling oxygen from the water itself through the surface of their skin. Their bones are fragile, almost sponge-like, less dense than typical fish. Some researchers believe this helps with buoyancy in the dense, cold water. Others suggest it's simply another consequence of their extreme metabolic efficiency. When you move slowly, hunt infrequently, and expend minimal energy, you don't need a heavy skeleton. Their skin is pale, sometimes transparent in places. You can see the blood vessels beneath, threading through tissue like thin glass tubes. And if you look closely enough, you can watch the heart beating inside the chest cavity, a translucent pump pushing clear liquid through a translucent body. Now here's where it gets truly strange. Some icefish species have lost even more than hemoglobin. 6 out of the 16 species have also abandoned myoglobin, the oxygen-binding protein found in muscle tissue. It's the molecule that gives meat its red color and allows muscles to store oxygen for bursts of activity. Lose myoglobin from your skeletal muscles, and you lose endurance. Lose it from your heart muscle, and you lose the ability to maintain cardiac function under stress. 4 icefish species have lost myoglobin from both. Their heart muscle is completely devoid of oxygen storage. This should be catastrophic. Myoglobin is what allows your heart to keep beating when oxygen levels drop. It's your biological backup system. Without it, cardiac cells should fail within seconds. But the icefish heart doesn't fail. Instead, it compensates in the most extreme way imaginable. Over 40% of their heart muscle cells are pure mitochondria, not cells with mitochondria inside them, cells that are almost entirely mitochondria. Mitochondria are the powerhouses of the cell, generating energy from oxygen. The icefish has turned its heart into a biological engine with the highest mitochondrial density of any vertebrate on Earth. It's not storing oxygen, it's burning it in real time, constantly, at maximum efficiency. They've rebuilt their entire cellular architecture around the concept of oxygen scarcity. No storage, no backup, just perpetual optimized combustion. Hunters of the deep icefish are ambush predators. They don't chase their prey. They can't. Their slow metabolism and oxygen-limited physiology make them incapable of sustained speed. Instead, they hover motionless in the water, nearly invisible, waiting. Their diet consists mainly of krill and smaller fish. When prey drifts within range, the icefish strikes with sudden, explosive force. Their elongated snouts and sharp teeth are designed for one thing: grabbing and swallowing prey whole. Some individuals have been found with prey items up to 50% of their own body length inside their stomachs. After a successful hunt, an icefish can go days or even weeks without feeding again. Their metabolic rate is so low that a single large meal can sustain them for extended periods. In an environment where food is scarce and hunting is energetically expensive, this is essential. They can live up to 25 years. Slow growth, slow reproduction, slow everything. Time moves differently in the frozen darkness of the Antarctic seafloor. February 2021. The Hidden Empire. Let me take you to a moment that changed everything we thought we knew about these fish. February 2021. The research vessel Polarstern is navigating the Weddell Sea, one of the most remote and ice-choked regions of Antarctica. A team of scientists is surveying the Filchner ice shelf, studying ocean currents and seafloor geology. They're towing a camera system 500 meters below the ice, filming the barren seabed. And then suddenly, the camera captures something impossible. Circular depressions in the sediment, perfectly round, evenly spaced, each one about 75 centimeters wide and 15 centimeters deep, lined with small stones arranged in neat patterns. And in the center of each depression, a single adult icefish, ghostly white, hovering motionless, nests, thousands of them. For 4 hours, the camera records nothing but nests, kilometer after kilometer. The scientists make 3 more passes over the area, trying to find the edge of the colony. The nests don't stop. When they finally compile the data, the numbers are staggering. 60 million active nests covering 240 square kilometers of seafloor. Each nest contains an average of 1,735 eggs, carefully guarded by a single parent. Total fish biomass, 60,000 tons. It is the largest fish-breeding colony ever discovered on Earth, and no one knew it existed until 3 years ago. This single colony represents an entire hidden ecosystem. Weddell seals dive hundreds of meters to feed on the icefish. Deep-sea invertebrates scavenge the nests. Nutrients cycle through the water column, supporting life across one of the most remote and least understood regions of the planet. The discovery raises a haunting question. What else is down there, in the dark, that we haven't found yet? The fragility of perfection. But here's the paradox. The icefish is perfectly adapted to its environment. Every aspect of its biology is tuned to survive in water that hovers just above freezing. It is a masterpiece of evolutionary engineering, and that perfection is its greatest vulnerability. The icefish cannot tolerate change. A temperature increase of just 2 to 3 degrees Celsius would be fatal. Their entire physiology is built on the assumption that the Antarctic will remain cold, stable, and oxygen-rich forever. But the Southern Ocean is warming. Oxygen levels are dropping. Ice shelves are collapsing. And the icefish, after millions of years of adaptation, has nowhere to go. Their breeding strategy makes them even more vulnerable. 60 million nests in one location. All their eggs in one basket, quite literally. A single catastrophic event, a shift in ocean currents, a collapse of the food chain, a change in water chemistry, could wipe out an entire generation. In the 1970s and 1980s, commercial fishing nearly drove some icefish species to extinction. Champsocephalus gunnari, once abundant around South Georgia, was overexploited to the brink. It took decades of conservation efforts to allow populations to recover. The Weddell Sea breeding colony has been proposed as a marine protected area. But protection on paper means nothing if the environment itself becomes uninhabitable. The icefish survived the impossible. It thrived in conditions that should have killed it. But evolution gave it no contingency plan, no backup, no ability to adapt to rapid change. It is a creature perfectly designed for a world that is disappearing. Why should we care about a fish with no blood? Because the icefish is solving problems that kill humans every day. Icefish function with only 10% of normal oxygen-carrying capacity. How? Medical researchers studying artificial blood want to know the same thing. Myoglobin, the protein icefish lost, is being used as the basis for artificial blood substitutes. Understanding how icefish modified their cardiovascular systems could help develop treatments for anemia, blood loss, and oxygen deprivation. The icefish heart is enlarged, cardiomegaly. In humans, this is usually a sign of heart disease. But in icefish, it's functional. It works. Research into how icefish hearts maintain performance despite their size could inform treatments for heart failure and hypertrophic cardiomyopathy. Icefish blood is low viscosity. It flows easily even in extreme cold. Their cardiovascular adaptations prevent clotting and maintain circulation under conditions that would cause thrombosis in mammals. Studies on icefish could lead to breakthroughs in preventing strokes, heart attacks, and deep vein thrombosis. When icefish lost hemoglobin and myoglobin, their nitric oxide levels increased. Nitric oxide regulates blood vessel dilation, mitochondrial growth, and tissue repair. The icefish cardiovascular system has evolved mechanisms to handle elevated nitric oxide that could inform treatments for inflammation and tissue damage. NASA is investigating icefish biology for long-duration space missions. How do you keep humans alive in extreme cold? How do you minimize oxygen requirements? The icefish has already solved these problems. Medical researchers represent more than half of the scientists requesting reprints of icefish studies. This isn't just evolutionary curiosity. It's the future of medicine being written in Antarctic waters. Let's step back and ask, what does the icefish mean? The paradox. The icefish is living proof that evolution doesn't always move toward complexity. Sometimes it strips things away. Sometimes losing what seems essential is the key to survival. Every rule of biology says this fish should be dead. No hemoglobin, no myoglobin in half the species, blood that can barely carry oxygen, a heart working overtime just to maintain basic function. And yet, it thrives. The icefish doesn't fight nature. It surrenders to it. It exists in the only place on Earth where its vulnerabilities become strengths. The Antarctic waters are oxygen-rich because they're cold. The fish is slow and sedentary because it has to be. Its transparent blood, its massive heart, its skeletal fragility, all of these weaknesses are exactly what allow it to survive where nothing else can. It's a reminder that survival isn't about being the strongest or the fastest or the most complex. Sometimes survival is about becoming perfectly invisible to the forces that would destroy you. But here's the tragedy. The one thing the icefish cannot adapt to is change. Climate change is warming the Southern Ocean. Water temperatures are rising. Oxygen levels are dropping. The icefish, locked into a narrow thermal range by millions of years of evolution, has nowhere to go. Their breeding colony, 60 million nests in one location, makes them catastrophically vulnerable. All their eggs, quite literally, in one basket. Overfishing in the 1970s and 1980s nearly wiped out some species. Champsocephalus gunnari, once abundant, was overexploited to the brink. Conservation efforts are underway. The Weddell Sea breeding colony has been proposed as a marine protected area. But the clock is ticking. In a world frozen by time, the icefish proves one thing: life doesn't need red to be alive. It exists in defiance of every biological principle we thought was absolute. It survives by breaking the rules. And in doing so, it shows us that nature's solutions are often far stranger and far more brilliant than anything we could design. The icefish is evolution's ghost story, a creature that should be impossible, a paradox swimming in the dark beneath Antarctic ice. And maybe that's the real lesson, that life, when pushed to the absolute edge, doesn't give up. It transforms. It finds a way, even if that way is transparent. A solitary icefish hovering above its nest, heart beating slowly, blood flowing clear through translucent vessels, alive in the only place it could ever exist. In the depths of the coldest ocean on Earth, the impossible survives, and it's teaching us how to do the same.